Hello and welcome to Neuroshambles, the podcast that aims to shine a light into some of the murkier corners of what it's like to parent neurodivergent kids. I'm Mark Allen, and every episode I'm going to be swapping stories with my guests about some of the frankly ludicrous nonsense we have to deal with on a daily basis. So, if you're anything like me and you're feeling frazzled, overwhelmed and pretty much an outcast from polite society, join me. Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Neuroshambles. Welcome back. I'm very excited to be back with another episode where I'm going to be discussing all kinds of shenanigans with neurodivergent children. This episode is going to be with a guest who will remain anonymous at their own request. So obviously it's important to be able to talk candidly about anything to do with our particular setup. And our guests this week is going to be fully anonymous and their children fully anonymous. Doesn't make it any less valid at all. Any of their experience is less relevant. It just gives them a little bit of, makes them a bit more comfortable about talking about their experiences without fear of reprisals from the neurotypicals who might be watching and judging. They get everywhere, don't they? So, yeah, so that's it. So what we're going to experience in today's show is we're going to have a meet the guest section where I talk to our guests and find out a little bit more about their own family. And then we are going to talk at length about the topic of the week. And the topic of the week this week is going to be birthday parties and everything that entails. So without further ado, let's meet the guest.
Meet the guest.
So I am delighted to be able to welcome our second ever guest on Neuroshambles. As I mentioned before, this guest is choosing to remain anonymous. I don't mean they're going to be silent throughout. I mean that she has chosen a pseudonym, which has been selected by her children, which is I'm intrigued to hear about. So this is Belle. Hello, Belle.
Hi there. Hi, Mark. Yes, I am for this evening only Belle, much to my husband's disappointment, as she is his favourite Disney princess.
Did he choose the name?
Well, no, the kids did because he has a long-standing reputation with his favouritism for Belle. So here I am, Belle, this evening.
I mean, it must be a pretty intense interest if your children have noticed. Because my kids wouldn't notice any of that nonsense. Should we watch Beauty and the Beast again, kids? Not again, Dad. Come on. Anyway, so welcome. Anyway, I'm delighted to have you aboard. So firstly, do you want to just tell us a little bit about your family, who we're dealing with here?
Yeah, sure. So we live in England, down on the south coast, which is always a nice place to be. And my husband, we'll call him Johnny. We live together, and we've got two wonderful children, Amber and Oscar. Amber's 8, Oscar is 6, and we also have a lovely little dog who is my favourite person in the whole house.
Have you got a pseudonym for the dog, or you can?
No, I haven't. We're just going to call it the dog. Hadn't thought that far ahead, Mark.
Sorry, I really put you on the spot there. So, in terms of neurodivergencies, what are we looking at here? So, Amber.
So Amber is confirmed as autistic. So she's been through the assessment pathway, and she is also a PDA-er. So she has a PDA profile as well, which is a whole nother world of
yeah, it's fun,
it's
isn't
a whole nother level. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take what I thought I knew about autism and throw it out the window and tread on it and bring in PDA. And she also has, sort of a significant sensory processing issues as well. And Oscar, well, he is the absolute opposite of Amber, and he has a confirmed diagnosis of Tourette's, which
okay,
is good fun.
Just to throw that into the mix.
Good fun at times for all of us, and he's awaiting assessment for autism and ADHD, and has a few notes of OCD in there as well. So, we're quite
Oh, you are the true definition of a neuroshambles in
we
your
very
household
much
then.
so. We are a rainbow, a vivid rainbow of different elements of neurodiversity over here. Yes,
Wowzers.
there was a lot of researching going on in this house a couple of years ago when we sort of start to realise what we might be dealing with.
Yeah, it's always fun doing that. I remember when we first sort of suspected with Jay, and then you get those online tests,
Mhm.
don't you? Going, oh, just to find out, and just do they do this? Do they do this? Like, yes, yes, yes. Oh, they are 100% autistic. It's like, okay, I am going to get a second opinion because I don't think that BuzzFeed is going to be my go-to opinion of choice, but it does at least raise a few red flags enough to look at getting a more serious
Yeah,
diagnosis.
Reddit diagnosis doesn't really get you anywhere in terms of DLA applications.
No, no.
What's the topic of the week?
So uh, every time I kind of talk to a guest, I like to introduce a topic of the week, and I like to theme the episodes around a particular topic, and really kind of explore it and talk about our own personal experiences of this. So our topic of the week this week is birthday parties,
Hmm.
because if in a neurotypical world, I think birthday parties are actually quite fun. That's my
Yeah,
understanding of people going, "Oh,
yeah.
my kid's got a birthday party. I'm just going to drop them off, and I'll go to another pub and pick them up afterwards." Um,
Oh, the old drop off and come
yeah,
back later. Yeah,
yeah,
that
and
dream.
so it's obviously a very different world in the world of parenting neurodivergent kids, just from our experiences of being there. So I thought the first thing I wanted to do was discuss sort of the early days of birthday parties, uh, because when you first sort of have birthday parties, really, it's I think it's one of the early examples of your kids being around their peers when you're not sort of with them. Like you're in the room, but you see them amongst their peers in a similar situation. And it's for me, it was a bit of an eye opener. It was the first time I saw them and went, "Oh, they're very different, aren't they?" So, what was your first sort of early experiences of birthday parties?
I think, I don't know, when you told me that we were covering birthday parties, I think my initial reaction was, oh, for fuck's sake, really? Birthday parties? That's just, the parental trauma knows no bounds where it comes to birthday parties. But I think if I look back on the really, really early days, the trauma started for me even before the party had begun.
Okay,
It's the choosing of the outfit and then the wearing of the outfit and then the outfit feeling horrific, but not wanting to change the outfit because that is the party outfit that had been chosen for the occasion.
and did they choose the
And
outfit themselves?
yes, yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Appropriately chosen sparkly skirt with scratchy bits on it
Oh, of
and
course,
the
perfect.
pressure of choosing the outfit. I mean, in this house, we have the routine.
Actually, birthday party outfits are uniquely uncomfortable, aren't they? Because you've got the chiffon and the glitter
Oh,
and so they've chosen the outfit, and I guess there is an awareness of how they're supposed to look at birthday parties, is there, or wanting to make an effort.
very much so, and I think I see that in absolute droves with Amber. She, as many girls with autism do, she masks incredibly heavily and is so desperate to fit in that she, wants to conform to all of the social norms that she's identified. And if that means
Yeah,
that she is going to a party, she has to wear appropriate party attire, but she can't because she can't tolerate
and
it.
then
So then there becomes the catch 22 situation, and she upsets her usual routine because in this house I will get her dressed subtly in front of the telly in a safe outfit most days.
yeah, hmm
Distraction applied. She barely notices if I get it right. But on a party day, no, 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 no. We have to go upstairs. We have to look in the wardrobe. We have to select the outfit. Then we have to try on the outfit. Then the outfit is not right.
oh,
And then the outfit comes off again, usually at fast pace with some force, launching it across the room. And the whole saga starts there really, and that's how we how we go on.
and that's before you even get there, and then eventually, I presume that some sort of accord is reached with the outfit, some sort of peace deal is made with their own clothing, and then
Eventually we usually end up in a safe comfortable pair of cycling shorts and a suitable t-shirt, and you know, it's that's far more suitable for any kind of bouncy castle as it is. So
Oh, totally. Yeah.
we find
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
rational reason.
So then you get to the party itself. And in the sort of the early days, were there any sort of indications in that situation? Because I know from my perspective, I remember when Jay was about 4, we had a party at a big church hall, which is very echoey. I mean, he's quite
Hmm.
sensory anyway, so it was very echoey, and there's a lot of noise because kids get high on sugar and they go absolutely wild. So there's a lot of noise going on, and I was sort of expecting him to run in and go hang out with all of his friends, and he just spent his time in the corner playing with this little LED disco ball
Yeah.
thing and basically playing with that. And I just remember standing at the side watching, just going, "That's not. Come on, go and join in." I wanted him to take part, and then he was sort of actively not doing that. And I could see other parents just sort of relaxing and chatting and sort of having drinks and stuff. And I'm sort of trying to trying to kind of coax Jay into getting involved. And that was quite an early warning sign for me. Did you have any similar
I
experiences?
think the actual act of singing happy birthday and having the cake was something that when she was really little, she really, really struggled with, that suddenly being the center of attention and everybody effectively shouting words at you, and then you're
Oh, is this
expected to
having
blow
her
on
own
something.
party?
Yeah, I think that was pretty tough for her. I mean, with regard to other sorts of parties, I mean, I think the ones that are slightly later were probably worse because she kind of has become more self-conscious as she's gotten older. But she wouldn't necessarily always go and join in straight away. She'd be kind of on the periphery. And we are lucky enough to have a really, really good circle of friends and a really good group of friends. Um, so those where there are safe people that she knows, she'll usually go
Yeah,
off with
yeah, yeah.
one friend and they'll kind of slink off into a corner and sort of do something.
Oh, that's really nice.
But we have had situations where the sort of dressed up people that are brought into these parties and princesses and things, do cause some abject horror um, at points.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell is Spider-Man doing here?
Why is there
No one
why
told
is
me
there a
about this.
human in a costume and everybody's telling me it's something that's fun? I don't know who that is within that costume behind that mask. It could be anybody.
But I just love this sort of this refusal to suspend disbelief at parties is a source of great amusement to me. Because there was, I remember Pass the Parcel,
Oh,
and Jay played Pass the Parcel once, and because it goes around and everyone has to win, right? So they stop it, and then someone unwraps it, and he clocked this at about 3, I think, that he was going around and he unwrapped it and he took out his tattoo or his sweet or whatever that it was in his layer, and then passed it on, and they carried on going. He just got up and walked off. I
I've
was
had
like,
my
"What are
turn.
you doing?" Yeah, he basically went, well, I've worked it out that everyone gets one. It's been my go, so why do I want to sit here
That seems
now? It's like,
perfectly reasonable if you ask
so,
me.
yeah,
I
I
can
mean,
totally see the
it's
logic.
cold. it's it's a cold appraisal of the situation, but I totally understand where he's coming from, and I can't argue with that logic.
Yeah, party games is an interesting one, isn't it? I think, yeah, Amber's enforcement of the rules at every possible level is one of the
Oh yeah,
difficulties that she faces because she's very clear on what the rules are. The adults are very clear on what the rules are.
yeah,
The problem
yeah,
comes
yeah,
when
yeah.
other children don't conform to the expectations that have been laid before them.
Or worse, that they're allowed to get away with it when they don't.
Oh, yes, the
So
strong need for justice.
justice is so keenly felt in yeah, with Jay in particular. He's furious,
Hmm.
like it'll throw him off for the rest of the day
Yeah.
if he senses injustice and it's not dealt with. Yeah, that's a big problem. So how did Oscar deal with birthday parties in the early days?
He's
Was he a bit more of a sociable?
Well, he's a funny one, really, because he once he's warmed up with his core group of friends, he is really quite sociable. But he, faced with a room full of people that he doesn't really know, he will usually slink off into a corner and create some really awesome game or something. He'll just create something that will mean all of the children flock towards him. And he's like,
That's amazing.
cometh to me. I am the maker of fun.
I am the
I don't
party.
even have to talk to you. You will flock to me and I will become your friend.
Well, we found his career then. He's going to basically be a party entertainer.
Yeah, I don't know. He does it in parks and things as well. You know, it's like, I want these children to play with me. I want them to like me. I don't want to have to talk to them. So I'm just going to create something that's going to make sure that they know I'm awesome.
If he's not already into Dungeons and Dragons, it sounds like he's going to be a very good dungeon master.
Yeah, I could see that. I could absolutely see that.
Yeah. I remember one, again, another very early experience. And again, this was Jay. I've got a lot of Otto stories coming up, so don't worry about, he's not being left out here. But Jay was the one in the early days that was I think Otto masks a lot more than Jay. Jay has no truck with masking. Why should he want a mask? He's right 100% of the time, and everyone else is wrong. So I remember once going to a party, and again, he was probably about 4, and it was in soft play, which you're thinking, brilliant,
No.
right? Everyone is just, can just be let loose in soft play. And he is very physical. So he likes, a bit of rough and tumble and running around. And so that was great. And they were like, I mean, I'm sure it's not true, but it felt like there were hundreds of kids there. It was such a big party, and it was fun. It was very fun, and everyone's having a good time. And I almost started to relax, like I was just about going, well, then nothing can go wrong, right? They can't hurt themselves, and that's all fine. And then out of the corner of my eye, I see this child running past, this like fully naked, and they're just like caught the corner of my eye. It was like, wow. And my first thought was, Christ, I'm glad I'm not that kid's dad. And then, and then I looked twice, and it was Jay. And he decided, for whatever reason, he was going to just strip it off and run around. And then I was mortified, because then I have to chase him down, right? That's the first part.
And they're quick, aren't
And
they?
he's quick.
They are quick.
He's really quick. And also, he's not got any clothing I can grab onto and haul him in, right? So I got complacent way too early. So I'm running around trying to find him. I managed to corner him in amongst some like squishy blocks, right? I managed to get him. I've got him now, and everyone's watching me at this point. Everyone's eyes are on me, because I am now the entertainment, and I'm holding him down. And it's like, right, I've got him. And then it's like, where are his clothes? They could be anywhere. They could be inside the little squishy tunnel. They could be like underneath the slide. So I'm trying to get people to help me try and find his clothes, to put his clothes on. And he's obviously furious about the fact that I'm stopping him having his fun, because he doesn't see the reason why he's not allowed to just ship off naked. Makes no sense to him. Why do you have to wear clothes, right? And I remember leaving that party early.
No, really? Are you sure?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how you stay there after that, and just sort of like,
You didn't stay for the after coffee and biscuits?
No, you don't know how you make small talk when everyone's seen you wrestling your naked child to the ground.
There is something about birthday parties as a parent of neurodiverse children that does feel like ritual humiliation much of the time for the parent. Yeah. That's my general take on parties, and that sense of dread when my children are lucky enough to be invited to parties. They are fortunate. They have friends and they are popular with their friends. Sometimes I wonder how on earth that happens, because the love for the friend is not reciprocal. It's like, yeah, that person's all right, and that person's writing me love notes, and you're like, yeah, okay, fair enough. But the sense of dread when you see the envelope in the bag and you think, oh no, I hope we're away.
Yeah, there's also the flip side of that, of them not getting invited to parties.
Yeah.
That their friends are getting invited to. That's the sort of a whole other level of, like there was a whole class party once that everyone was invited to apart from Jay, and unfortunately he doesn't give a hoot about that. But I felt really aggrieved on his behalf. I was really pissed off, and I totally get it because he's not actually that close with those people. He's not
Yeah.
very, he's not very sociable with those people. He's in his own world a lot of the time, especially at school where he sort of gets into his own head just to get through, I think, a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But obviously all the other parents are discussing the party, and I'm feeling left out, which is stupid, right? Because it's not about me.
No, but
Um,
there's that militant bit of parent slips out every once in a while. We, sort of spend our time thinking, oh God, oh, another party. Oh, that's really nice. Thanks for that. I'm, yeah, delighted, genuinely. And then when they don't get invited, it's like, well, hang on a minute, that's not very inclusive, is it?
but then also, if they change their mind and they'd be like, oh, actually, I don't really want to go. I just want to be invited.
Yeah,
It's a different
yeah.
thing, right?
But then you do get those school of other parents, usually parents that you know quite well that are friends that kind of get it. And I will get the odd text message from one of those parents every once in a while to say, we're having a party. Do you want us to invite Amber, or would you prefer that we just glazed over it? It's Ninja Warrior. How are you
Okay,
feeling about that situation? We know you hate soft play, Mum. And it's like,
that's
yeah,
really nice though. Well, just having people who get it is really lovely, and it's we've got a small handful of other parents who get it and who want to include him, which is really
yeah.
nice. Yeah, which is it's really lovely. So actually, Jay went to a birthday party this weekend, which was a sleepover. So we're at the stage now where I don't have to be there, which is great.
Wow.
I don't have to witness it. I can already tell it's going to be a bit of a social car crash, but
Yeah.
that's only based on my own sort of perceptions of what isn't acceptable socially, right? Whereas he's there, he's fine. They know him well because he goes to school with them. So he went to the party, had a sleepover. He had a great time. Slept in a separate room. I don't think that was pre-agreed. He just decided that that's where he's sleeping, and he had a lovely time and came back and was absolutely fine with it. Now that is Jay's experience of birthday parties. Otto is a very different kettle of fish because uh, Otto wants to fit in. He
Mm,
wants to go to parties, but he has enormous anxiety around them
mhm.
because he's not entirely sure what they're going to be each time. Every party's
No,
different, right? That's the whole point. Everyone wants to have a different experience each time. So if he doesn't know what to expect, he is super anxious and he's torn between knowing that there's going to be loads of sweets there because he loves a sweet and he loves cakes and he loves party food. So there's that, and also this fear of the unknown and this sort of absolute terror of not knowing what's going to be at the other end of the party.
do you
Um,
RSVP and ask for an agenda?
well, we don't know because a it's quite difficult to do that and not sound
Being that
really,
parent, do you
really
happen to have a
judgmental.
sensory story, a social story to go with the invite?
Exactly. So I don't want to be that guy. Yes, I mean this most of this will work for Otto, but you're going to have to ditch the clown. I
Yeah,
don't want to be that guy,
yes,
right?
yeah.
Though, if any neurotypical parents are listening, you should never have a clown.
No,
Just
clowns are just horrific.
it's awful. Um, so, so one of the I mean, there was one particular party that he went to, and fortunately, the parent has a neurodivergent kid as well, or sort of is on the pathway to being diagnosed, so is very aware, and we can be very kind of open about what Otto needs to support him. And he had an enormous amount of anxiety about the party, and they picked him up and gave him a job straight away. And he was like, "Ah, it's
Amazing.
fine. I'm doing something." So basically, he had a register, and they were going around and picking up these kids for this party, and he had to like tell them the number of the house, and then when they got to the number of the house, he got to tick them off, and totally just instantly took his mind off the anxiety, gave him something to do, and then he had a really nice time. So that was like
Fantastic.
that's how you can trick a neurodivergent kid into enjoying a party. Give him
But
some
there
work.
is that sometimes, isn't there? Whilst, I don't ever want Amber to mask, I want her to be able to be herself. But sometimes there are times where just applying a little bit of mask to get over the hump of the initial anxiety
Yeah.
means that she's then able to get tucked into an experience that she then realizes actually isn't anywhere near as bad as she thought it was going to be. And we had that very much this weekend. We took the kids on a boating trip.
Nice. Nice. How did
Yeah,
that work out?
yeah, that was surprisingly nobody went overboard. It was close on a couple of occasions after I administered Oscar some Skittles and instantly regretted it. Um, but once she realised that she was allowed to drive said boat and had complete autonomy over the steering, she was then able
Okay.
to get over, what she was so terrified of that was making her want to disembark whilst we were mid-river.
Was the thought of that she wasn't in control, maybe, and all of a
I
sudden
think
she's
so,
in
yeah. Well,
control.
she was able to overcome the anxiety because she then had control of the boat. So she obviously knows she is the most safest, trustworthy person going. So who better than that to drive the boat, really?
Otto had a particularly bad experience, and I think this fuels his anxiety around parties because it was at that age where uh, we knew he was neurodivergent. He hadn't been diagnosed. We knew he was anxious, but he was invited to a Harry Potter party, and he was quite into
Oh.
Harry Potter. Like he
Mm.
quite liked the books, um, and it was a whole class party. And so he knew people and he wanted to go, and it was a Harry Potter party, and it was going to be a great event, and everyone was talking about it. So he wanted to go. So I was like, great. And it was a drop off. And I was like, okay, well, I'll drop him off and then I will be nearby. And if there's any problems, they can phone me. So I dropped him off and I didn't have any phone calls. I was like, brilliant. He's had a great time. I was just around the corner with India. Um, no one called me. It's fine. I turn up and they went, yeah, he's been in the corner crying for most of the time. It's like, why didn't you phone me? And I think they tried to phone Tam, but they were not available. So they didn't try me and just left him in the corner crying. So
Oh,
Otto had the worst time. And I think part of the reason was that they got a sorting hat, right? So
oh
there's this
no.
sorting hat you can get. I don't know if you know this.
Did
There's a
he get in the
sorting
wrong
hat.
house?
No, it wasn't that. I think he was really fucking creeped out by it because so this is sorting hat. If any of our listeners aren't aware, that basically you put on your head and then its face moves and then it speaks in the voice of the sorting hat what house of Hogwarts you are assigned to, and I think they were sort of doing it as a bit of fun. The kids, like for neurotypicals, that's super fun, right? It's like, oh, am I in with my friends? I'm in that one. So, but Otto couldn't see that. He didn't give a shit about that. It was the fact that there was a talking hat on his head judging him. I mean, in his reality, that is horrible. So he freaked out and no one knew how to kind of talk him down. And also, the parents there, because it's a drop off, the parents there are looking after the party and making sure the party's a big success. So one kid crying in the corner is not on their radar, really. Just let him get on with it, give him some cake and hope he calms down. So I turn up and he is in absolute pieces and I had to take him home and he was just all over the place, bless
Oh,
him.
poor love.
And uh and since then he we had a one of his friends came for a sleepover and they brought a they brought a sorting hat with them.
Oh
And
no.
he was
Oh no.
he was like, I can't sleep in the room with that sorting hat. We've been here before. So I had to put it outside.
How to ruin Harry Potter for
Basically.
somebody in one foul
Yeah,
swoop.
exactly. So that was a pretty traumatic experience for him. Bless him, which
Gosh.
also means now that I have to go to every party with him,
Yeah, I've
which
been on that. I've been on that for a while, unfortunately. I've never been able to leave.
I mean, it's fine, isn't it? I mean, it's,
I am that parent,
it's true.
the
But do they
neurotic one that already always stays.
see? I wouldn't mind being seen as the neurotic one that always stays. I have a feeling that I'm pegged as the dad that just really loves party food. They're just like, oh,
See,
here he is
that's it,
again
isn't it?
on
That's
the
the
party rings,
stereotype. The neurotic mother or the dad that
or
likes
the
eating
fat
all the
dad.
kids' food.
Yeah, I don't know which I prefer, to be honest.
Oh dear.
But either way, once he gets into it, he sounds a little bit like Amber. Once he's into it, once he sees the shape of the party, he's totally fine. He loves it. He's absolutely fine with it. But it does take him that while to warm up and to kind of, yeah, to live with it.
I think for Amber it very much depends on the party. I mean, I I detest soft play. Anybody that knows me knows how much I personally detest soft play. And we recently got invited to a soft play party for a very, very good friend of Amber's, and she was dead set on going because it was her best friend. She's like, "No, I'm going to that party." So we
Does
managed to
Amber like soft
outsource.
play? Is she okay with soft play?
Well, yeah, she says she does, but the
Okay.
sensory overload is often, and the other children that she can't control, and being bumped and pushed and wiggled against is not great for her. But she really pushed through it. So we went mob-handed. We went 2 to 1 because
Nice.
she's
Control the
heavy now.
numbers.
I can't lift her out of awkward spaces anymore on my own
Okay.
without manpower, and it's tricky. But she coped largely very well. She was heavily supervised, and I think that helped. But she did cope until it was time to go and have party food, and her barrier to that was everybody was already in the room, parents and all. She'd got distracted by something else, probably a piece of fluff going by or something,
Hmm.
and she couldn't walk into the room because all these faces, all these people were in there. So she could march off into a soft play, but she
Yeah,
couldn't walk into a fairly orderly room with all these
because
faces
there were
because
just people there.
yeah, she just couldn't walk into the room. But I think her cup had just filled up over the
Yeah.
course of the party, and she just was like, nope.
So she didn't have any of the party food.
She did eventually. I think there was some snacks consumed in the hallway. Uh, Next to a
Okay. Yeah.
radiator or something along like that. And then she eventually sort of sat in the corner of the room by the door so she could escape at pace if needed. But she got through it, and sense of achievement for her, she desperately wanted to go for that friend who she holds in very high esteem, and she did.
Yeah, which
So,
is like
you know,
what a huge effort, and I don't know if the friend kind of understands or recognizes how much of a big effort
yeah.
that is, but that's
I think some of them
oh,
do. The parents do. There's certain parents that get it, and get her.
hmm.
Were just, delighted that she actually felt that she could come on that day, and she could actually walk through the door.
Yeah,
So, that was quite a big thing for her, I think.
yeah. I think Otto had a similar food experience recently that no one had explained the kind of buffet protocol to him. I don't quite know. I don't know what needs explaining, to be honest. That is one actually that we dropped him off at because it was a very good friend of his, and he felt comfortable. And we sort of said, Do you want us to be there?" And he was like, "No, that's fine." And he went, and I think partly he'd done something in the morning. Something I can't remember. Like he played football or something in the morning, so we're already sort of chancing it a little bit because there's a lot to do in a day, and then there's a party, and he was running around at the party, and then it came time for the food, and no one had explained to him where you get your plates, and he just couldn't ask, and he can't
Hmm.
strategize, so he can't like even ask a friend to go and get him a plate or find a plate from somewhere.
They
He
just
just
get
sort of,
lost, don't they,
yeah,
in
he
that
just got
moment?
exactly, and he really loves party food. I think I've explained this, and he absolutely loves party food, and he had no way of accessing it in his head. There was no way of accessing it.
No.
Obviously, anyone else would say, "Where are the plates?" and or not even have a plate, just go and grab a fistful of chocolate fingers or something. But he just lost it, and then I says, on the way home, I said, "How's the party?" He was like, "I didn't have any food. I'm really,
Oh
really
no.
hungry. I really want some food. I didn't have any food." It's like, oh, bless him, bless him. So yeah, we had to give him some party food of our own when he came home.
Well, that's the kind of thing you do, though, isn't it? You fill in the gaps
Yes, yeah,
as
exactly,
parents.
exactly.
That's one
And
of the biggest mottos.
where possible, you spot the gaps in advance and then strategize around it. And sometimes we're getting better at it, I think, of understanding, how they're going to respond in certain situations and
Yeah.
navigating that. But sometimes you just miss it a little bit. You just miss out, you miss one of the signs, and then it becomes a bit of a bit
Yeah,
of a
I usually
harrowing
kind of
experience to
do the
remember.
scan around the room. Is this now the kind of party? This the kind of party we're going to get? A party bag or a sweet cone or nothing at all? What kind of party is that? Because I really need to manage expectations before we
Yeah,
get to the end,
yeah. Do you
and there
ask
is no
though? Do you
party
ask so?
bag. I
Do
don't.
you
I
do?
just do the parental scan of can I see clues as to what the end of the party is going to look like?
Because again, you don't want to be that parent, do you?
No,
Is they go do a party bag?
God
Party
no.
bags in themselves are just awful for Otto in particular. Again, because they're just full of small bits of tat, aren't they?
That
Basically,
break.
like tiny bits of plastic that are going to break, or
Mm,
tattoos, and he doesn't like them, or those, the little squishy things that you throw out windows, and then they like work about twice and then they fall on the floor and collect dust and then they never stick again.
yeah.
Those awful things, bouncy ball, but just small things. And Otto gets really attached to them for whatever reason. So he insists that night that he's going to sleep with them, right? Now, the problem is Otto's executive function is absolutely chaotic, right? He doesn't have a strategy of where anything lives. So he will use something, and when he's finished using it, he'll just leave it where it was. And he won't remember that. So then when it comes to bedtime, he's like, right, let's go to bed. We're like, oh, where's my little bouncy ball from the party? It's like, I don't know. Where did you put it? He doesn't know. Obviously, it's a stupid question. I mean, of course he doesn't know. So then, before he gets to sleep, we have to find wherever this bouncy ball is in the house that he's had at this party. We have to like hunt for it. We got the whole family looking for it just so he can get to sleep. Um, and so it is like this little just birthday shrapnel that is transported
Birthday
home,
shrapnel.
basically. And it's transported
Responsible for
home, and we
mental injury.
yeah, exactly. I hate it. I much prefer, just a bit of cake, and that's fine. But
Well, you get I get with Oscar sort of, at parties. I mean, he is reasonably self-sufficient. His boundaries aren't always great, and I think as he gets older and his tics become more inappropriate, which is a little nugget we're starting to see developing at the moment.
at
Um,
parties as well.
yeah, yeah. It's one thing running around Primark shouting booby chains at the underwear section, but I don't. God knows what he's going to come out with at a party. Um, who
Has
knows?
he learned swears yet?
No, and that is the one
Oh,
thing
that's
that
gonna
is
happen.
quite amazing, actually, that I don't quite know how we've avoided it because Amber is can be very can act out quite a lot in some very, very
Okay,
physical
yeah.
ways, and she
Hmm.
can come across quite unpleasant towards you when she is dysregulated, I think is the polite way to put it.
Yeah.
But she asked me once, she said, what is the F word? And I sort of asked, I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Well, everybody keeps saying the F word, but I don't know what the F word actually is." And I said, "Okay, all right, no, I can deal with that." So
Let's
I told her what it
demystify
was.
this.
I told her what it was. I said, "It's just a word, but when you say it, some people get really upset about it, and
Oh
it's the
no.
kind of word that if you say, you might get in trouble. So do you know what? It's just best not to say it at all. But it is just a word." And after that, she's like, "Huh, okay, fair enough." And she's never, her swear word of choice is biscuits.
Well, that's
She's
Bluey
never
for
told
you.
me to fuck off. She's never said anything, even in the
That is
height of anger.
unbelievable.
Nope, biscuits is
Th-
biscuits. That is her swear word of
That's
choice.
amazing. Well done for that.
Oscar, on the
Because
other hand, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. It will
well, he
happen.
so if he doesn't know the swears, then he's not going to use them. But as soon as he
The
knows that
Yeah, the
there's a
ticks
thing,
have not registered swear words yet. The ticks have
oh
registered
god.
poo, bum, willy, boobs. That's what the
Right.
ticks
So
know.
booby chain is
Booby
the
chain
worst he
is
can
is another word for bras, um,
love it.
which I'm
It's
not
like a
quite sure where that's come
Victorian.
from.
It's like a Victorian gentleman.
Booby chains.
I saw that woman's booby chain.
Exactly that. Exactly that. So,
I was appalled.
so the coprolalia element,
Yeah.
the socially inappropriate element of Tourette's is in
Coprolalia.
there.
Can you explain coprolalia to me? I haven't. I've heard of it, echolalia.
Yeah, so
But I don't.
coprolalia is tics that are socially inappropriate or offensive. So
Yes.
when
Okay.
people classically think of Tourette's, they think
Yes,
of
it's
people
that, isn't it?
swearing uncontrollably. Well,
Hmm.
actually, I think even less than 10% of people with Tourette's have the coprolalia
Yes.
element. But coprolalia, I think, I'm not an expert by any stretch, but it's not defined just purely to words or sentences that are socially inappropriate. It can be actions and physical tics that are socially inappropriate. So quite often at the moment, I can't wear a vest top because he just comes up and pulls it down. So
Okay.
that's clearly a tick, because then he gets really upset that he's done that, and he
Oh.
just feels weird about it. So there's definitely things there. And playing football and standing in the queue and pinching his friend's bottoms, he's going to
Do
get
they
himself
do
into all
they
sorts of
get
bother
it?
if we're not
Oh
careful.
God.
His
Yeah.
close friends do. He's got a really lovely group of close mates, and their mums are all really on board. They know him really well, they know me really well, and I'll quite often, if we're there chatting at, sort of football or whatever, and I see something, I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry guys, that's a new tick, you might want to go and explain that to you. If they come home and start mentioning, why
Yeah.
does Oscar keep grabbing my bottom, you might want to explain that it is his ticks. And he's quite open about his ticks as well. Sometimes I'm not always sure there are certain things that are ticks, but it's always difficult to tell the difference.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But so parties, and he's very black and white. He's very frank about things. He says things as he sees it. If he has a mouthful of the cake that he does not like, bleh, that's disgusting.
So I mean, where Tourette's and autism meet? Is he autistic?
We don't know yet. It's quite likely.
Okay.
He's definitely got
Yeah,
the
because
the
it's like there is no
literal.
filter there, is there?
No, and that's it. He has no filter. He has no filter. He's got the impulsiveness of ADHD and the no sense of risk. And he's got the literalness and lack of social awareness that comes with autism. And then he's just got tics that just, sabotage him at every possible
Oh
opportunity.
man, it's a lively situation to be in, and at a kids' party then. Okay, what we haven't yet kind of fully touched on in terms of birthday parties is how whether your kids want to have birthday parties, whether they enjoy having the focus of attention on them on birthdays. What do you do? What is their experience on birthdays?
Well, I think we've had a lot of success with Oscar being very picky about who he wants. And
Hmm.
he has said, I don't want my whole class because I don't like my whole class, so I want to pick the right people to come to my party. And that was what we had last year, and he did, and it was wonderful. We had it at home in the garden. We're very lucky, we have a nice garden, which is great, and the weather was glorious because he's September
Oh, nice.
birthday, and he always seems to get good weather for his birthday. And we had a mad professor um, who came and did science experiments, but Oscar didn't want him to be dressed as a mad professor. He wanted him to be dressed as a pirate. So it was a pirate doing science experiments. And we had a pinata, which was
How? Wait a second. How did you explain that to the mad
well,
professor?
no,
You're
he
like,
he
look, we
he
want to
said to me, he
book
said,
you,
I can
but
come and do a pirate, sort of performance, or I can do a mad professor performance. And I gave Oscar these options, and he said, well, I want him to do the science performance, but I want him to come dressed as this. And so he did, and he was great actually. I
that's
would
wicked.
happily book him again. But we
Nice.
did get a pinata, which I'm not sure wasn't perhaps a slightly an inappropriate situation in the end, because the pinata was modelled on Oscar's favourite soft toy at the time, which happened to be a cow. So we hung the cow from the tree, and the cow was beaten to smithereens,
Oh
but
my
we had
god, an
quite a lot.
effigy of his
Yeah,
favourite toy.
and we'd hung it from a tree, and I just couldn't get this image of
What were you thinking,
we're
Belle?
beating this animal that's hanging from a tree in my garden, and I'm not sure if I'm scarring these kids for life. But
How did he cope with that?
yeah, no, he was fine. He thought it was
Okay.
great. So more, that was probably just more me being neurotic. But he had a great party, and the parents, we had wine. I helped him handpick his best friends and the best parents, and it was great. So
Oh, wicked.
it was really nice.
Excellent, excellent.
Amber,
And
on
what
the other
about
hand,
Amber?
she prefers an activity with a small group of friends, and that works best. But she did have a pony party on the day that. Do you remember those storms that we had? We had like storm. I can't remember what it was. Storm something, and then swiftly followed by Storm Franklin. And it was
I remember
horrendous.
Storm Frank.
Yeah, Storm Franklin. So that was the day. That was the day of Amber's pony party in the woods. And we were from the get-go that morning, because it had all been very carefully planned and she was very in control of everything. I was
Yeah.
getting telephone updates every half an hour from the pony party
Oh,
saying, you know, we can't go ahead at the moment, but we might be able to in half an hour. And so I was on the edge of my seat thinking, oh my lord, am I going to have to cancel this party with
oh
half an
God,
hour's
change of plans is
notice?
not. Yeah.
It was just horrendous, but it went ahead, and she was
Okay.
in charge of everything. She was on a horse, which she loves, and she was in complete control, ordering everybody around on a scavenger hunt in the woods.
On the horse, were they on foot?
But
Was
they
she
did
like a
ride. They
mounted
did some.
police person?
She was
Like,
the leader of the
I
pack.
love that idea. Okay, okay, I like the idea that she was the only one allowed on a horse,
No, they
and
were
she's
all on
ordering everyone to
horses.
scavenge for her.
Yeah, but it surprisingly went all right.
That sounds fun. Okay, good, but there is that sort of nervousness of the change of plans going awry. Um, I mean, in terms of my lot, Jay and Otto don't really want parties in that sense. So what we do for our birthdays is basically the kid is in charge of everything,
It's like yesterday,
within reason.
like the movie yesterday.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's very much like yesterday. But we did that for birthdays before we saw the movie, so we didn't take that as an inspiration. But they basically get to choose the menu, which is great. So we have ice cream sandwiches for breakfast sometimes, or just cake,
I
or
love that.
uh, and I really love it. And there's like no demands, and they're just basically they get to say what we do. So it invariably involves what. I can't believe I'm telling this on the podcast. It involves Daddy Total Wipeout, which is basically me on the trampoline with the kids, just throwing them around and recreating some stuff from Total Wipeout on the trampoline. So you know this, you've seen Total Wipeout, you're
Uh-huh.
familiar with the program.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the sweeper, you know, the thing that sweeps and knocks them over? Well, I get a camping roll mat around my arm, right? So I wrap it around my arm,
Sounds like some
and
kind
then
of
I
budget version of
swing.
Gladiator.
Yeah, it's very budget.
Do you have
Very
to wear a
budget.
costume?
Oh, no, I don't. No, I
I
haven't
think we
gone
should
that
get
far.
you one.
But having said that, if my kids decided that I needed to wear a costume, I'd have to wear a
It would be
costume because
pants on
it's
your
their
head,
day, right?
clearly, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So basically, after quite a long time of Daddy Turtle Wipeout, it's just they get to do what they want. They, play computer games or watch a film, or they're in charge, and that's actually really nice because there's no demands, and they feel totally special for the day, and we don't have to invite other people. Having said that, India's neurotypical potentially. Suspected neurotypical. So uh, her experience this year was very different. She wanted a party for the first
Mm.
time. And one of the things she wanted for the party was no brothers there. She actively just was like, I want to have my own house with my own friends and not have them there. And she's in charge, and no, I get it. I totally get it. And it would have been too much, for her. It was only a small group of her friends. There was like 6 of them. They were super, super noisy. So it wouldn't have been good for the boys anyway. So Tam took the boys out, and they went to get pizza or something like that. And I just, hosted a group of absolute feral hooligans in the house, and then we had a pizza party. And India had a lovely time, and the boys liked it as well. So yeah, that was quite interesting. That actually they were very, very noisy in our household, and they were like absolutely wild. And India loved it. Um, but even though there was 7 kids full of sugar and excitement, it still was calmer than it was with 2 neurodivergent
Yeah.
kids in a 3-person household. Because you can sort of predict the
Yeah.
chaos at a kid's party.
You're not
It's the
constantly
unpredictable nature.
monitoring for the unexpected.
Yeah, it's the constant sort of, everything like it's booby trapped almost with
Yeah.
neurodivergent kids. Something is going to kick off that you hadn't anticipated, so you're on edge a little bit more. So
Do you
Yeah, we
think
didn't
though
have that
that
for
the
her.
parent experience of that being on edge all of the time is it must be how they feel all of the time? I was pondering this the other
Yeah,
day when I
absolutely.
was rolling my eyes inwardly to myself, going, "Oh God, here we go again. I really don't need this today." And it's like, well, actually, they don't need it either. You know, you have to check yourself
Yeah.
sometimes, don't you? And
Yeah,
remember to
yeah.
dig your
I
empathy
mean,
back out of the hole it's called into, and
yeah.
try again.
Yes, no, it is true, but it's fully justified sometimes.
Yeah.
The eye roll is the very least we deserve.
It's the only thing that's sacred.
Hello, please forgive the brief intrusion into your podcast listening, but I just wanted to alert you to our social media presence in case you fancy giving us a follow. We are on Instagram and Facebook and Reddit and also Threads. Why not? If you also want to email us at the show, for example, if you've got a topic suggestion you want to hear us talk about, then you can email me at hello@neuroshambles.com. Also, if you like the show, and I very much hope you do, then like it on your podcast platform and also subscribe so you know when the new episode's dropping. And if you feel particularly favourable towards us, even give us a review. That'd be amazing. And just say some nice things about us to let other people know that this is not just going to be a massive waste of their time. You know how it is. All right, that's it for now. I'll let you get back to the pod.
It's not all rubbish.
Okay, so I wanted to also do just to kind of wrap the show up the positive side of neurodivergent parenting. I wanted to kind of do the "it's not all rubbish" section where we look at the positives. I'm just wondering if you brought anything to the neurodivergent champions table.
So
Have you got
yes, I have. So I think,
anyone you want to champion?
yeah, my champion actually hopefully bodes good for your holiday if you're flying out of
Okay.
Gatwick. So last year we booked a last minute trip to one of the Canary Islands and flew through Gatwick Airport, and we'd flown a couple of times with the kids, and it was always hell on legs, as you could imagine. But this
Yeah,
time
yeah.
we went special assistance, and it was brilliant. Actually,
Oh
the
wow.
staff at Gatwick Airport were fantastic, and they also they know their stuff. And I think the best example was we obviously highly anxious Amber and Oscar happily bouncing around, very excited,
Oh
incredibly
God. Yeah.
hyperactive.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we were escorted to security, supported through security, and went through the security gate, where of course husband always gets stopped to have his pocket searched every single time. Like, I don't know what he does, whether he sews coins into his belt or something, but it happens every single time. And maybe it's just the way he looks, I'm not sure. Um, but this time, a random search has to take place, and of course, it's going to be Amber. Um,
Oh right.
yes, and
Okay.
she's there. She's on the cusp of
She's on edge already.
absolutely
Yeah.
losing her shit in the middle of security, and it's rammed with people. And thank God we went
Yeah.
special assistance, and my sunflower lanyard was shining, but I could feel the sweat building on the back of my neck, going, how are we going to get out of
Was it
this?
like a Jedi thing? It's like you don't need to check this child.
This Gatwick member of staff, she came over. She took one look at me and saw the abject panic starting to appear on my face when she said that there had to be a search, and she saw this small, blonde, hostile looking 8-year-old looking like she was going to attack. And she said to me, she said, will she go to a different room? Would that work? And I said, no. You're not going to get her to move from this point. We are this is I don't know how this is going to go. It could go very wrong very, very quickly. And she went, right. And she sat down on the floor in front of her, cross-legged, and I don't know what kind of magic she was made of, but she just managed to, I don't know,
That's amazing.
diffuse the situation and subtly conduct a search that Amber was really none the wiser of. And
Oh my
she
God,
just
that's
she just did
incredible.
it, and I thought I was going to pass out because the panic had finished me off by that point. And we trotted out of security and found our little man in our buggy that was driving us
Oh
around, and
man.
went and got some snacks.
You got a buggy as well.
Yeah.
Is that what you get from?
We've got a little
I'm
golf
totally on
buggy
it.
thing, which of
Seriously,
course
that
the
sounds.
novelty, and I'm sure as you're aware with the whole PDA thing, novelty is, one of
Yeah.
the things that gets us through sometimes. It can get quite expensive, the novelty element, but novelty is, Amber loves holidays. She loves going to new places randomly. Complete the bucks the trend of,
Hmm.
of being autistic, I think sometimes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the novelty of something like that is distracting enough to kind of overcome the anxiety sometimes. And
So, did you pre-book the special
yes, we
assistance
did.
side of
Yeah.
things then,
And we're
and then
going,
just rocked up and went, "We're
yeah, we're
here." It's
here.
like, yeah, we
Guide
heard you
us.
coming.
Do you need a wheelchair? No, we don't, but we want one of your fancy buggies. Thank you very much. Yeah, and they were fantastic. So I would
How
highly
far in
recommend
advance
it.
did you book it? This is me trying to
A
work
good
out
few
if we've left
weeks.
it too
A good
late.
few weeks. No, I don't think you
Oh,
have.
okay.
Give them a ring. Phone the airline. Give them a ring.
I will do. To be honest, Tammy's probably already on it. They're very organised.
Tiny wins.
Do you have any tiny wins for us for this particular episode?
The tiny, tiny win of the last week is that I bought some Crocs for Amber. She'd had a pair of non-brand Crocs that she wore religiously through
Okay.
last summer that were a slightly different shape. And I was like, oh, they've been really useful. I'm going to try with some Crocs. So she chose a pair online, wonderful tie-dye ones, but they had like a fleecy lining. I thought, well, that's going to be great. They're going to feel like slippers. But then when they arrived, I took one look at them and identified an immediate problem. They had, and I don't know why they do these kind of things. I mean, who thinks this is a good idea? But they had sewn this plastic label, and they had
Plastic.
glued it and stitched it to the lovely soft
Oh my god.
fabric and attached it to the plastic croc underneath. So I thought, oh,
Right. So there was no getting out of that
there's no
then.
getting out of it, no getting out of it
Oh.
whatsoever. So I thought, right, okay, my mum's popping round tomorrow. My mum,
Did you try? Did you try it on in the first week?
yeah,
Just say, just to
immediate
see
rejection.
if she would
Yeah,
notice.
immediate
Yeah, and it's
rejection.
like as if yeah, someone who is so highly sensitive is going to just be like, yeah, these are fine. There's no just kind
No,
of letting
no,
letting
no.
stuff go.
As soon as the foot went in, it got launched across the room. So, but my mum was coming over, and my mum does a lot of sewing work, and she makes a lot of things, which is coming in quite handy at the moment. And
Yeah.
I kind of gave it to her. I said, right, we've got two options. We either try and get this label out, or we find some fluffy material to stick on it. So we tried finding the fluffy material to stick on it. It wasn't the right color. It didn't perfectly match. There was a little gap. It didn't feel quite right. But then eventually, sort of, mum had spent the day and she'd gone home. And what I didn't realise she'd managed to do is unpick the sticker and pick the glue off of whatever was attached. And we now have Crocs that are fully functioning and have been
But
worn out
these
of
are
the
like
house twice.
these are deluxe Crocs though.
Deluxe
I mean, these
Crocs.
are fleece
Yeah.
lines.
And there's something when you spend a lot of money on an item and then you have to bastardize it to make it work for you, it just feels
Yeah,
very
however,
counterproductive.
it does. But having said that, I think your mum's not got a new
Oh,
sideline.
she has. I'm
If
training
she
her up.
buys in bulk,
Training her up.
if she buys in bulk and starts fleece lining all them Crocs, put me down for 2 pairs at least.
She's also good at restitching knicker hems as well.
Okay. Well, this is it. We've got it with the neurodivergent tailor.
Yeah, I'm
This is a perfect
I'm training
career.
her up on school dresses.
Yeah. Oh god, that's clothing is a whole other
Yeah.
again, another podcast episode that we will be delving into at some point as well.
So that's the win of our week.
Um yeah, that is again tiny wins, but to normal people. I say normal people. That is such ableist bullshit, isn't it? Sorry. For neurotypical people, I've got to catch myself. For neurotypical people, that's not. It's barely worth talking
That was
about.
a
But it's
3-hour
yeah. But I
trauma that cost me
totally
40 quid.
exactly.
You know,
But now you got
now
shoes.
we have
It's
shoes.
amazing. Okay, the final thing I want to do, and because we spend quite a lot of time talking about our kids and how the challenges that we face, and we delve a lot into the things that they find difficult and the struggles that they have. But I don't feel like we spend enough time focusing on the wonderful parts of our kids, because there's so many positive aspects of them, and I wanted to just take a little moment in each show to highlight the best things about your kids.
The best things about my kids. Well, I think with Oscar, it's by far and above the combination of his intellect and his sense of humour. And,
Hmm.
comparing having a stone in his shoe to Russia and Ukraine having a conversation a few weeks ago was a real crowning moment for me. And with Amber, I know, where do they get him from? At 6. Um, and with Amber, I think it's her, she always seems to see beauty, even though she can't always explain it. And she
Yeah.
started writing or typing on the computer a short story the other day, like creative writing. And I sort of started reading the first paragraph she'd written, and it was talking about this girl and her mythical powers and stuff. But she described the landscape that the girl was in at that moment in time, and she just picked up on all these little details and used all these words that just painted this image in your head. And it just, I don't know, it's like somebody opened a window into what she sees when she kind of goes off onto her
Oh,
own little
wow.
world. And it was
Yeah,
just
because I
sort of
always
like,
wonder.
wow, it was like a real, just a
Yeah,
little
yeah, yeah.
nugget. And I was like, oh, that was lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah, what a wonderful insight. Well, I think that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for coming on, Belle, and sharing your experiences of birthday parties and your family. And yeah, thank you very much for joining me. And hopefully, we'll get you back again at some point to talk about any of the other myriad nonsenses we have to deal with.
It's plenty there.
But for now, have a nice life.